So, hey, it's just past about 7 p.m., and you can definitely tell that it is winter and autumn now, or at least it is definitely past that point, or at least it's the autumn, because, yeah, man, now it's got surprisingly dark in the last, I'd say hour between 6 and 7 p.m. Well, yeah, I don't know. Felt like taking a walk, I guess. It's not super cold out. It's just a little chilly, but I have, instead of freezing, I decided to put some gloves on and put my hat on and hood on and everything like that, so I'm fairly comfortable. And it's not really windy at all, so that's good. Surprisingly noisy evening or late evening. I don't know, I guess they're doing some, it is Friday, I guess. They're doing some BS at the high school or some crap nearby, so making quite a bit of noise. But yeah, anyway, since, Rudy, you uploaded that video, the hour and 20-minute video, hour 19-minute video. And you talked about a bunch of stuff, as well as the other video before that, obviously. But this other one brought up more topics that I figured I'd talk about a little bit, I guess. As well as stuff that I not so much had forgotten to talk about, but when other things got brought up, I had something else to say about it, I guess. This video is definitely going to have probably a small bit of editing, just because there's so many topics and I have them in notes on the phone app, but probably after every topic, just so I can remind myself of the notes, I'll be looking back at that, so I'll probably be having to do a little bit of editing to cut these together and all that, or whatever, put these together. But yeah, anyway, the first thing I wanted to talk about was things that I kind of forgot to bring up, and that came up when you mentioned it with the old world being destroyed, removed, taken out of, being erased. The old world, or the old internet, and stuff like that being erased. And I guess one of the first things that I kind of had brought to mind from that was I had looked at the notes just a few minutes ago, and the first one, alright, 1 second. Yes, that was it. And I had brought this up in the comment on the other video, but I figured I'd talk about it just a little bit, since it's on the same kind of thing, so I'll just talk about even those things I mentioned in the comments. But, yeah, like, since the CV shit, I know that was mentioned many times by other people and other channels, and especially any of these, channels that are kind of, their bread and butter is the kind of retro games and stuff like that, old games and stuff. But, since around the CV thing, or, just a little bit after that kind of shit had been going on for, probably, I would guess 2021, 2022, the problem, I guess, of I mean, I don't even think it was a problem necessarily until that kind of started, I guess, or that kind of point is on these like places like eBay and all these like product distribution websites and shit, eBay and I guess Craigslist, or even Goodwill, like any of these places that would used to sell this old like just various stuff, you know, people would find in their garages or their basements or whatever. They would sell for, you know, generally a pretty fair price, if not like, you know, extremely little compared to like what it was originally worth kind of deal. Like, you know, people used to pay $40, $50, $60 for like one game. You know, some people would just sell like whole box of some of these old games for like, I don't know, $20 or something. But yeah, kind of suddenly the scalper thing started to become an issue, I guess, for people that were trying to collect these things or just use them, quote unquote, the proper way to play these games and stuff. And all this like hardware and games and stuff, all of a sudden the prices just started to skyrocket higher and higher compared to like what they were, what they used to be sold for and stuff, kind of, until that point. But like, you know, that wasn't a problem before the CV shit, but then all of a sudden it became a problem, I guess. And now it's just kind of stayed that way, where it just keeps getting more and more expensive. People keep inflating the prices higher and higher, scalping and all that crap. And I would look at that as the kind of, in the same vein as that, the attempt of erasing the history in the old world and stuff like that. Because if people can't access those things, or if they become less and less accessible, then kind of by default they become, they will eventually kind of go away. At least that's, you know, the idea. The idea, at least. So that's just one example, but I'll go on to the next topic. And the second thing, in a similar vein, is the pretty recent, basically I would just call it a straight up just attack on game emulation and emulators for game. I guess specifically it's the emulators for these games. I don't remember the name of this particular emulator, but I think it was one that was for like the Wii U primarily, I believe, or either the Wii U or the or just not the Wii U. Yeah, maybe it was the Wii U and the Switch specifically. Oh my God, I see a rabbit. Holy shit. I can't believe I see a rabbit. I haven't seen a rabbit like in fucking months, which is unreal. I was almost thinking like, man, did these things go extinct around here or something? And it pretty much still feels like that, but wow. Maybe they just come out a lot later at night now, but I had not seen a rabbit in a long time with my eyes. That's pretty crazy. But yeah, the emulation being attacked by, like, specifically in this case Nintendo, you know, taking down the emulators themselves, or maybe not taking them down directly, but filing DMCA and all that crap, copyright shit, strong-arming them to be taken out, as well as getting their GitHub repositories removed. Which, hey, isn't that such a nice indicator of how even like these free distribution, like I mean, I know that's not exactly what Git and GitHub specifically is like, oh yeah, free distribution of things, but a lot of people kind of follow that mentality to some extent when they kind of think of these repositories, these code repositories. And you know, Microsoft owning GitHub, so anytime that they get you can just have the repository taken down. So it's like shows just once again how flimsy the ground is for the archiving of these things in reality, even though people might think, oh yeah, it's always going to be there and all that shit. But yeah, specifically Nintendo doing that to these emulators and taking more and more down, it seems. And people talking about that, obviously. And I will also consider the, even if it wasn't specifically from a big company doing this, but that ROM site that had been around for ages, I think it was a ROM hack site specifically, so it wasn't just like distributing ROMs specifically, but more ROM hacks of said ROMs, but you know, same deal basically, but it had been around for ages, and then it closed down because of bullshit drama behind in their community or whatever shit, basically. But even if it wasn't necessarily caused by one of these big companies and shit like that, seemingly not from Notnilc, doesn't necessarily mean that's it's not following the exact agenda of erasing history, erasing the old world and stuff like that, the old internet. That was point number 2. Let me check my notes again. Point number 3, or whatever, point number 3 on this specific topic. I mentioned in that comment as well, but I find it funny or interesting that recently the trend, let's say, of YouTubers like officially announcing like retiring from making videos or whatever, and especially like ones that have been around for a long time. And I know probably the most prominent one that at least was talked about, and even more specifically, it was from the gaming side of the YouTube community and all that shit, was MatPat. I really never liked MatPat. Maybe I liked a few of his like original videos, but then he just became a fucking. I mean, he just quickly became like a slop creator and shill. Not necessarily shill, but just I don't know, just somebody I could tell was like, this guy ain't fucking genuine kind of deal. But yeah, I don't know. I know a lot of people liked him, but I wasn't that big of a fan. But either way, there was a lot of people that were privy to him or whatever. But I wasn't necessarily one of them. But it was talked about a lot. And what was it? He just made like a video where he basically or some shit like that. I know people talked about it. He just made a video basically saying, yeah, you know, I've been doing this for a while, and I'm retiring, or I'm done with making videos. I guess the channel still makes stuff, but he's not involved. There's some shit like that. But these quote-unquote classic or original creators, like, doing these official retirement sort of bullshit ceremonies or whatever, like, I don't know. The main thing that was just weird to me is, like, maybe it's just the fact that now it's becoming, like, shit, these people have been doing these things for, like, fucking as long as some people would be doing their careers or whatever bullshit, like, so maybe it's just kind of a result of that. But I think it's more along the line, the kind of agenda of, once again, the shimmying, or what was the term? The pushing out of the old world, and the old internet, And I mean, obviously there has to be new stuff that gets brought in, but, you know, would you even really consider that new stuff? It's just kind of like most of it's shit. But yeah, in this case, these old creators, like, officially retiring and shit, which, like I said, it was just something I'd never seen in all the time I'd watched YouTube, was, like, somebody just kind of coming on a video, be like, hey guys, you know, I'm done with making videos, like, forever, or whatever, like, I'm retiring and all this bullshit. It's like, what the fuck? Just one of those things I just found weird, and yeah, felt it was related to this topic. And the last topic related to this, not so much a topic itself, but just kind of the concept. And I brought it up in that video that I made, just the previous one, but, or no, I brought it up in a comment after Rudy replied to the video. I think I brought it up, or something like that, I fucking forget. I think it might have been in the video. I think it was, but either way, the fact that I have a feeling, almost, just feel it in my fucking gut, that, yeah, that you're not going to see, like, when you look on a YouTube video, in the description, you'll see, like, how, when it was uploaded, generally, and as it gets, like, less and less recent, it just goes by years instead of by, like, months or anything like that. But, you know, you go through so many videos and see, like, you know, this video is, you know, uploaded 15 years ago, or it's whatever, 10 years ago, 7 years ago, 4 years ago. Like, a lot of videos that I watch and I get recommended in some ways, a whole lot of them are fucking, like, years and years old. Which is kind of one of the big points that I'm going to kind of make with this, is that I just have a feeling in my gut that you are not going to see many videos that are going to say, like, 20 or higher years old, or uploaded 20 or more years ago, or 30 or whatever. Those are just not going to exist after a point. Like, they're just going to, whatever reason that YouTube or whatever, anything is going to have, is just that these videos that are above a certain age, are past a certain era, are a part of this kind of what people would consider the old internet and the old world. They will no longer exist, and they will be somehow removed in some way, either like from a BS reason that YouTube will give, or even from something less more ambiguous, like, oh, there was some you know, just as the trend is, there's some hacking attempt or some shit, or there was some big issue that caused all these older videos that were, like, under some archival format. They've all been gone, memory hold. They've all been removed, deleted, and they'll never be seen again. And yeah, I just have a pretty good hunch that that's going to happen at some point. And as I did make a video about this probably over a year ago, where that guy was talking about, what was it? Basically another Y2K, but instead of Y2K, it's going to be in around the year 2038. Or was that my prediction? Yeah, that it's going to be around that year 2038. Because the bit limit will be reached for, like, the clocks of those of most computers currently running. Is it either? I think it's 32-bit or some shit. I think it's 32 because I think 64 is way higher supposedly, but I could be wrong. But either way, it's the exact same thing of Y2K essentially. But yeah. So I wouldn't be surprised if something like that happens within that time frame or whatever, and that'll be part of the excuse or the reason for that happening, I guess, for that occurring. But yeah, I just have a feeling like there's so many videos, like I said, from the old internet, from so many years ago, that are significantly more useful than newer ones in a lot of cases, like even just like seemingly benign things, like, you know, say you look up, what was it, one video I saw that was, I think, uploaded like 17 years ago or something. It was like something about how to fix a door that isn't closing right, basically just like one of those like old YouTube where stuff was a lot more concise and useful in a way. But yeah, just like a 5-minute video about how to like fix a door and in a pretty good way and all that kind of shit. And stuff like that's just not going to exist after a point. I just have a feeling it's just going to be gone. And then you're going to be left with whatever remains and whatever will be pushed in afterward kind of deal. Okay, but that's all on the old world being deleted topic. So I'm going to go on to the next things. Okay, this one's a little bit out of order from when I was watching your video. So the topic kind of flip-flop around a little bit. But the Nick Avocado thing that you brought up, the guy basically playing the character. And in his case, maybe it's just because, you know, like if I was young, I probably might have a hard time, like, telling not so much the difference, or just being able to see, like, you know, is this guy actually being real, or is he, like, joking here? Is he playing a character kind of shit? Because when I was younger, and this is kind of what I wanted to bring up, not necessarily with him, because I think with him it is pretty obvious, but maybe it was always for even these other people, but other people playing characters. If you remember, Rudy, maybe you do, maybe you don't. This was a pretty long time ago, but on pretty old YouTube, I remember when stuff like, I remember stuff when I watched as a kid, shit like Tourette's guy. That one is still, like, I could see that around. Like, you just look it up, you can find, like, Tourette's guy easily. But this other channel that I remember, which was a dude that was acting kind of similar to this Nick Avocado in terms of his, like, weirdness, and not even, like, not exactly similar, but in a similar vein. Just kind of really exaggerated. He was, like, acting like a really, really, like, awkward, like, kind of what people would call autistic kind of deal at this point. Just, like, really awkward, kind of character, I guess. And, I mean, in the end of the day, that's what it was. He was playing a character. But as a kid, I would have had a hard time being like, is this guy a character, or is this actually a guy? Because he was pretty believable. He was a good actor when he finally did, like, reveal that he was, the whole time he was just fucking around, or he was just acting, basically playing a character. But if you remember this guy, I don't remember what his name was. Maybe it was like Dax Payne or some shit, but I don't think so. I didn't see anything when I looked up something like that. I couldn't find anything, just kind of looking up stuff similar. But I remember one of the more things that I remember from his, from that channel was one where he was like having this little, you know, fake freak out where he was talking about like interacting with some guy at school that he really like, he really admired or some shit, and you know, obviously just a fabricated story kind of shit. But what was it? He was like, It was like, and I yelled pee fight, and I peed on him, and then he just fucking, is that like, I yelled pee fight, and I peed on him, and then he just fucking like slaps the camera after all that, or some bullshit, and shuts it off. And that was the whole fucking video, and I'm pretty sure that was a meme, but I couldn't find anything about it. Like, maybe that's been memory hold already, who fucking knows? But that just reminded me, this Nick Avocado, the same thing, like a guy who is clearly like acting a part, and yeah, I don't know. Once again, like in that case, it was just an example of the old internet kind of deal. And goddamn, man, I literally looked up at the moon, and yeah, that's fucking wild. I have not seen the moon like that very often, and the fact that it is out like that tonight, the night that I decided to just come out, is really fucking weird. It is like very big in the sky, at least very big relatively to what it normally would be. Very bright and very orangey yellowish, warm white hue instead of a cold white kind of hue. Very, very weird. I will probably switch the camera view in the next section just so I can maybe show that off a little bit. But yeah, let me move on to the next topic. So yeah, unfortunately the camera doesn't really do it justice right now. And yeah, I don't know, the camera just doesn't pick up that light very well at all, which is probably not a coincidence. But that is the moon right now, and at least from my perspective, it is fucking way more clear than that, and it is not white at all. It is not white at all. It is like orange yellow. Kind of like the streetlight more than anything, but yeah. That is a very curious very curious thing for me to come out and it's looking like that. Just, you know, quote unquote coincidentally tonight. Yeah, pretty crazy. But on the next topic, when you brought up the dog attack video or article with the 9-year-old and the Labrador going on that field trip or whatever, I just kind of want to bring up, like, fucking just the fact that there's nothing that's going to happen from that kind of thing. Like, you know, the kid just got kind of fucked up, and there's nothing that's going to be happen or change from that you mentioned. And I just wanted to bring up that, yeah, I mean, that obviously in many ways, but the obvious dog bias, but as well as the the fact that the teachers get at least the teachers that are probably there for a pretty long time on tenure and all that bullshit, those kind of teachers, the ones that have been doing the teaching bullshit for most of their lives kind of crap. Yeah, just being the government employees, they basically don't, being the government employees as well as being around children, kind of ironic when you think about it. Like, they're the most trusted with the children, but they're also, in a lot of ways, some of the least responsible with children and probably shouldn't be around them at all in a lot of ways. But they also, at least when I was in school, and my mom working in the school system as in the child nutrition, whatever, lunch lady shit. So not like a teacher directly, that kind of thing, but she's there, and the school's just the same, just like any government thing, that there's plenty of fucking cops. There's a good amount of cops that are always around, kind of deal. There's a good amount of cops that kind of interact with them on a regular basis, sort of deal. The teaching staff and all that. But that government employee bias, these teachers, they'll never get any like real repercussions for any of that kind of crap, especially if it involves something like that. And just anybody that is kind of like even tangentially involved with the cops in some way, just all of my life, maybe not all of it, I guess, but most of my life, especially my adult life, just every interaction that I've had with cops has just shown me, like, it's not been like Billy, where it's like direct, how he feels, like direct like discrimination or direct kind of biased against him kind of deal and trying to get him in shit. But yeah, I mean, just every interaction that I've really seen has been the cops being on the pretty fucked up side generally. But you know, it's just the old boys kind of not old boys like mentality, but like the it's like a crime family kind of fucking shit, and it really is. It's would that be the term? Yeah, basically, like they could get away with anything by the quote unquote rules or the laws. They are above the law because the law is bullshit for one, but the law does not act the same for everybody. I guess that's the way to put it. The law is not enforced on particular people that are within the system, especially like cops. Like I've had many interactions, not many, but I've had a few interactions with cops, and none of them have I ever felt like I'm glad that the cop was around. It almost basically always is the case where they make the situation worse, or at the very least worse for you in some way. They don't. Them being involved wasn't helpful for any party besides the one trying to get some kind of benefit from it, basically. So anybody that's so in this case, anyone that's innocent gets fucked over in the interaction, essentially. That's what I found. And if they break the laws, and anybody that is kind of even tangentially related in some way with them, it'll get scoffed off or whatever. It'll be put under the rug kind of shit. And I really just look at it as like, I don't think I have the same visceral reaction that Billy does, which, you know, I don't think I can, because I'm sure he's had some pretty fucked up interactions with them, but I've had not great ones either. But mine is not nearly as visceral as his, but I pretty much feel almost the same way, I would say, I guess. That I would say cops are basically betrayers to their own man. Betrayers to their own common man kind of deal. Like they're like the most direct agents on the lowest level of the system kind of deal. Like they're the ones who kind of directly harass and quote unquote enforce the stuff of the Notnilc in a way. And in a way that makes them kind of some of the most responsible in a sense, because they're like directly enforcing that shit and imposing that shit onto the common man kind of deal, I guess. And in almost all the cases, it's just there for their own benefit, for their financial benefit, and for other things like that, like the perks of it. So I look at them as they're almost exactly like how they are represented I forget what the name is, what they give them in 1984, the book. But really, they're basically, I look at them almost exactly like that. But I think that's all I wanted to say on that topic, so on to the next. The next topic, probably not much reason to talk about it, but I just found it funny when you mentioned that asshole that you had a little falling out with. Well, you might realize that I had a same falling out with the same asshole probably a little bit over a year ago at this point, but yeah, I don't know what his deal was. Maybe as you said, it is something to do with childhood trauma, mommy issues kind of shit. And, that's possible. But, yeah, I don't know. Maybe, as you said, like he would often say that his mother would be too nice kind of deal. And maybe he would, as a kind of rebellion against that, or an attempt to not be like his mother, he instead would go out of his way to try to kind of be an insufferable asshole for whatever reason, for like anything, even to somebody that's trying to not be, specifically not trying to be an asshole to him kind of deal. So I don't know what the hell his issue was. And what was it? Him acting like that. But, yeah, as well as, I don't know what the hell that was. Like, I don't know. Everybody looks at everything differently, but he would seem to be one of the people that would constantly, or always almost, anything that was said about him, he would completely misinterpret what was said, or at least what that person was saying or intending to say, and then misinterpret it completely as something like negative or whatever, and just flip it completely the other way. I don't know what the fuck the deal was with that. Maybe literally they were seeing completely different reality or whatever, but I don't know. That was just when you brought it up, I kind of found it funny. It's like, yeah, well, you're not the only person who's had the displeasure of seeing that person how they act for whatever reason. But yeah, next topic. On the predatory man or men kind of thing, I found that interesting because it made me think of, at least how you brought it up, was like these supposed nice guys, or these nice guys that try to act nice or whatever. Like that is their mask, or their attempt or way to attempt to get into into interacting with these people or whatever. Like, the getting good with them to some extent is their attempt acting like quote unquote nice guys and shit. And then also using that as a defense, or almost like a victim defense. Like, oh, you see, I'm just a nice guy. Like, I didn't do anything. Didn't do nothing wrong. I'm a nice guy. It kind of reminded me of a dude that I worked with when I was at Amazon for like a year or whatever. And I don't think he was nearly as much he didn't remind me nearly as much of that guy that you had been talking about, that military dude or whatever shit. And I don't think this guy's intentions were like bad or anything. I think he was just really, I don't know, he was really like, he was decent enough to work with, just a little bit awkward, very neurotic, very nervous, and like insecure about himself in a lot of ways, I could tell. But, decent enough to work with. We were cool to each other, I think. But I could just tell just the way that he kind of like acted generally. I could just tell that he would just be in that similar kind of thing of, I don't know if he was necessarily like a predatory kind of dude in that way. Like he would try to take advantage of people or women or whatever in that way. But I wouldn't be surprised. And just the way that I seen him interact with some women, it was like very weird in some ways. And yeah, I just wanted to bring that up because it reminded me of that guy when you brought that up with this nice guy kind of predatory bullshit. Kind of made me think of that guy a little bit. Next topic. Oh yeah, and on that same topic, when you brought up like the kind of effeminate vibe or behavior this guy in that video kind of gave off, or at least the Better Bachelor guy brought up with the thinking that if he's straight or whatever, and you bringing up that kind of like thing that he probably got from his childhood, from like that maybe that was the only way that he got attention as a child from with his mother or some shit, was acting in that kind of like more effeminate kind of way. And you said like, yeah, women, they seem to be more their defense is lower when they're kind of like dealing with the guys that kind of give off that vibe. And I think that is 100% true, because when a friend I used to have, he was gay, and pretty openly gay. He made it a lot of his identity in a way. After a while, it became kind of that. But I think he was more bisexual, I guess. You know, whatever the fuck you want to get from that. He was like he'd had sex with women, but then he eventually became gay. So I don't know. I'm sure he would do it with both either way if he really wanted to. But basically, he identified more as gay at that point. But he told me, about interactions he'd had at some of these jobs that he worked at. Like one was was it from one of the restaurants he worked at, or maybe it was a convenience store, something like that. But he worked at one of these places, and after he had made it more clear that he was gay to, I guess, some of his female coworkers, or at least one or two of his female coworkers, they started to treat him a lot differently, and they started to kind of act differently around him. Like they were like a lot more open and a lot more jokey with him and stuff. Like a lot. Their defenses were down a lot more after they kind of found that out, I guess. And I think that's exactly as you said, basically. Like guys that act in that kind of more effeminate way, they seem to either get more attention from women, as well as their defenses, the women's defenses go down a lot more around these kind of dudes, I guess. I don't know, maybe it's like some weird fucking tribalism shit where they're just like, oh, it's another woman, it's another girl, it's another chick, so I could act like more openly or whatever. I could tell them whatever bullshit and gossip and all that crap. So yeah, I think, and with that, I think you could definitely, if you wanted to, take advantage of that in a way. Now, man, would you really want to? Like, I mean, I guess obviously people do, but I'm like, man, I wouldn't want to deal with some crazy bitch like that would be more open to somebody just because, I don't know, that just seems weird as fuck to me, why I would want to deal with somebody like that. But, yeah, I definitely think that is 100% a thing, is if you acted more like that, then you would get more attention from women. Maybe not necessarily the attention you might want, but you will get more attention from women. They will be more open to you because I guess they look at you more like a woman, or they look at you not as a threat or not somebody who's trying to fuck them, which maybe that's the reason. Maybe I'm not a chick, so I don't know what it's like being a chick. And I have a feeling that, yeah, probably a lot of women, they get that kind of bullshit where anytime that they're interacting with a dude, they probably always get that vibe that they're like, well, this guy probably wants to fuck me, and it's not actually just like maybe people that are born like into rich families. Maybe they get that vibe where it's like this person, I mean, if they have a brain, they would probably eventually realize, like, this person I'm interacting with is just there because of my money or my pussy, and they don't give a fuck about me in general. So that would be how I would rationalize it, I guess, is why the women would act differently, or they would act much, they would lower their defenses much more with these guys that act more effeminate in a way. But yeah, just a note from my own secondhand experience from somebody I used to be friends with, I guess, that kind of had that thing going on. But next topic. And yeah, this was near the end of your video, so I'm getting near the end of my topics I had lined up, and that video's already, I'm sure, getting pretty long anyway, so good time, I guess. But you had that that video from that Zen Buddhist channel or whatever the fuck. And I mean, maybe you picked it up, but I just looked at that video right away. I'm like, man, this fucking voice is AI generated fucking bullshit. And I'm sure the story is some like some fucking old proverb or something, but the voice sounded like 100% AI generated, and it kind of had that feel. But either way, doesn't necessarily mean the point of it is not valid, I guess. But I just wanted to note that I just got that vibe right away. Like, this is fucking AI generated fucking voice shit slop. But yeah, on the actual topic of that video or whatever, the proverb or whatever, I don't know, the stupid story. Yeah, I just found it kind of interesting, like, that, as you said, the idea is nice, is that, oh, it's like, you know, don't have people depend on you, and especially depend on you so much that it becomes something that they never tried to fix their own issues, and they always just go and have somebody else fix it, or you fix it, or whatever. Like, they have to take some kind of self-responsibility at their point and fix it themselves. But, you know, that's all nice and good. But, yeah, in reality, compared to that story, that's not really how it works. You know, if somebody that people were depending on, or that people expected to do something, and then they just all of a sudden they just said, hey, I'm not doing that anymore, or whatever, figure it out yourself. Yeah, it sounds real nice that, oh yeah, they would just all, oh yeah, you know what, we agree with you, and we are going to we are going to change our ways, and we're not gonna rely on you anymore. We're gonna fix it ourselves, kind of shit. Yeah, you know, all happy and good. But in reality, no, that's not how it goes. Is the people, as you said, very ironically, they wouldn't look in the mirror and say, we need to fix this ourselves now. Like, you know, we need to stop relying on this person or whatever. No, they would just say, well, now we're going to blame you. You know, the fucking asshole, you said you did it before, and now you're deciding not to. So, yeah, they will blame that person instead. They will take out the pitchforks and torches, and then that person will become the enemy or whatever. And that's, yeah, I'd say that's pretty much universal. Maybe on an individual level, that wouldn't happen, but especially anything involving some kind of group, or like in that example, a village or something. No. They, say if the blacksmith decided, hey, you know what, I'm sick of making horseshoes for you fuckers. Figure it out yourself. You know, they would, or whatever the thing was. They would blame the blacksmith and say, you know what, fuck you, get out of here, you're a piece of shit, or whatever. But yeah, that, as you said, that's the real reality of what would happen in that case, is, that person would just get blamed. They wouldn't get the people wouldn't change, or the people wouldn't change for the better or whatever. They wouldn't start taking, because the people, they don't, almost nobody looks in the mirror, almost nobody takes self-responsibility, specifically, and yeah, they would just find another way to blame something else for that problem. They wouldn't try to actually resolve it. Yeah, I guess that's all on that point. Next and final topic. Oh, yeah, and the final topic that you brought up at the very end, where the Better Bachelor guy was saying, like, that dudes have they don't have very high standards or whatever. They just don't want women to be they want a woman that's pretty. Yeah, that was it. They want a woman that's pretty, nice, and whatever his third standard was. But as you said, no, dudes, yeah, they might not want much, but it's actually like a zero that they want. They have zero standards nowadays. And I don't know, maybe this was always the case, like, to some extent, but I don't know, but definitely dudes nowadays that have zero standards for a woman. Like, they will settle with the most crazy bitches. I mean, that's always kind of been how it's worked, honestly, but there will be no checking if there will be no standard of how crazy the woman is or whatever. They'll just go with whoever now, no matter how many red flags pop up. They don't give a shit what they look like. They can look like complete ass, and they will still go with them or whatever. Just because they're that desperate for whatever, some female validation, as the red pill community would probably generally call it, I guess. And I don't even know really what I had much to say about that, but it's like, yeah, it's just dudes. That guy, I think that better Bachelor dude, I think he was more projecting his own stuff onto that, saying that, guys have these standards. I'm pretty sure that's really not how most dudes, if you actually look at them or see them in reality, no. They don't have any standards whatsoever. It is pretty much the most basic definition of a simp mindset that the vast majority of dudes nowadays have, I would say. I mean, shit, I could see this every day, anywhere you go. If you see a guy and a woman together somewhere, like, you're pretty much going to be like, Jesus Christ. I mean, maybe the dude won't be that fucking, like, amazing looking or whatever, or high value, but it's almost always the chick is way lower value than the guy in a lot of ways. I mean, yeah, like, shit. Just in my own example, our neighbors that are behind us from our backyard, the dude, the guy, he's like, I don't know, he's like a blue collar maintenance worker for one of the townships. Like, it's a pretty good job. He himself is, I mean, he's definitely not ugly. He's not like my standard of attractive, but he's not really ugly. He's not like super fat or anything. He's a little bit probably chubby, but more than like a guy who could probably put his weight around, like, to do shit, like, whatever, like, not necessarily fat guy, but by my definition as a skeleton, a little bit husky, but not fucking like fat whatsoever. And like, that's the thing, compared to his now becoming wife or fiance, whatever. His fucking wife is or his girlfriend, his fiance, his wife is a fucking, like, whale in comparison. And I'd imagine one could cope and say, hey, she's got a cute face, probably. But when your cute face is fucking covered by a whole fucking blubber of fat, it's like, well, yeah. Clearly, these guys don't have many standards. I don't get it, because myself now, at least, I have very high standards. Probably impossibly high standards for a lot of things, which maybe that's a me problem. I don't know, but that's just how I am now. I don't really settle for any bullshit anymore in that sense. But yeah, I don't know what the hell. As you said, maybe he was just on the fly there, but I don't know what the Better Bachelor dude was smoking, but completely projecting his own stuff there, because most guys, and I'm sure most of the people that are subscribed to him, okay, well, maybe not that, because in his red pill community kind of topic, but probably a lot of guys that are even in his kind of community of a sense have extremely low standards. If you actually just put a little bit of pussy in front of them, and they'd be like, oh, orf, orf, orf. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's how most of them would react. End of the day, this is just kind of how fucked up it is. But how this is what happens when men are not men anymore, or whatever. That. But yeah, that was the main topic there. I think I got everything covered that I had noted down. Do I have anything else to say? I think I want to get in, because now even with my gloves on, my fingers are getting pretty cold. These are not exactly winter gloves. These are more like gardening gloves. They're very comfortable. I'll give them that. But probably not the best heat insulating gloves. But yeah, I think that's enough yammering out of me for tonight. I'm gonna go home, upload these files, probably do some editing, and then take a shower, and then probably go to bed. But yeah, thanks for listening. Thanks for bringing up the topics, Rudy, and hope everybody is doing well right now, as well as you can in this crazy little clown world reality we have made for ourselves. But yeah, have a good one, and I'll see you later.